You can see we get a lot of natural lighting into our quarry, which makes it kind of different than most mines. We've got just natural lighting everywhere. We can see out Portal 1, lighting out there, and actually out into our entry portal. You can see it's kind of different in here. It's weathered. You can see the old texture from where they were cutting before 1941. This is also an area that we plan to work on and develop in the next year and start cutting this out. Underneath all of this moss growth and the staining on the block is actually some of the purest white marble that we have. So we will be starting to cut in this area. This area is kind of different. They were working it years ago, and it does have a lot of good marble. Over to our east a little bit is more of the softer, pure white. Over here on the west side is actually some of the best gold vein material that this quarry produces. You can see up above us a little bit some of their exploratory tunnels that they tried to do here. Most of this area was where the marble for the Lincoln Memorial was quarried from. Almost from the side over here on the east over to the west. So that it has a couple different varieties of marble into it, but this was the main area where most of it was extracted, hoisted out the opening, taken down below on the train to the mill site down in town where it was all fabricated and then shipped to Washington. Right here you can also see
water bags and airbags are used on both sides to help push over the 1.5 million pound wall, one of the largest attempted in the quarry. The track hoe is one of the best pieces of machinery for this operation, with an extended arm that snags the top of the wall and starts to pull it backwards. But the wall doesn't budge. Cables are then strung on one side and hooked up to the front end of the loader for some extra pull. An all-steel cable snaps like a string under the force, and another cable is put into place.
This hill right here is the one you got to watch out for. Especially in the winter, it get a little cheesy coming down here. Just in the winter, coming right out of the portal there, it was so slick and so icy that every now and then this thing just becomes like a sled and just starts sliding down the hill. And, well, I'll tell you, it really makes your old butt bite the seat. You just gotta cut her loose and let her go, and then it straightened out. It did it 3 times. I didn't like it at all, I'll tell you what. It scared the hell right out of me.
The tomb monument is in disrepair and can no longer be restored. Cracks appeared on the tomb monument decades ago and have been getting worse. All attempts to restore the tomb monument have failed, and some marble experts believe it is in real danger of simply coming apart. Smaller pieces have already fallen from it. Arlington National Cemetery Superintendent John C. Metzler, Jr. has long asked that 3 parts of the tomb monument be replaced: the base, the die block, and the capstone. Mr. Metzler is concerned that the current tomb monument will have an effect on the integrity of the tomb itself. He detailed the problem in an August 2001 request for funds to the Department of Veterans Affairs, which gave the go-ahead for the replacement project in 2002. I prefer to call it the exchange project, since that's what's needed. A simple exchange from a damaged block to a perfect one, not a replacement and total transformation of our nation's most sacred monument.
We have a hydraulic ram in the back side of the block that's pushing the block this way. We can gain about 4 inches every time we push the ram out, and then put a spacer to hold the rock, and then try to extend it out. We're going to bring this rock over on some rubble that we have down below here. When she comes, she's going to make a pretty loud bang. It's probably the largest block that's ever been moved in this quarry. And we're attempting to do this without causing any other type of damage and to leave the stone in one piece. There is some good Italian type material right in the center of that piece. And then hopefully from the wall behind it, we may possibly get the tomb block. So you'll see when this block comes over, you may see the 2 block first exposed back inside there, and that's what our goal is for today.
Much of the machinery in the mill was powered by big shafts up in the ceiling with pulleys on them, big pulley wheels, and then they had rubber belts that went down to the stationary machines, like the power saws and the coping machines and so on, so that it looked like an old-time factory when you went in it. Had all these big shafts going across the ceiling and many machines underneath powered by leather belts on those pulleys. So they had 2 circular saws about 4 feet in diameter, and the teeth had diamonds on them. They cut very fast. They could cut a piece of marble about the same speed as you'd cut a piece of oak wood. You see it just steadily moving through. I was standing near one of those when one of the workmen turned it on, and it made a terrific whine. You could hear those all over town. I thought it had almost deafened me. It seemed like my ears were ringing for days afterwards. On those big circular saws, they placed the block of marble on a traveling bed that moved under the saw. The saw stayed stationary. They were very proud of those. The workmen mentioned several times that they had 2 of these, and they thought that they were really on the cutting edge, to speak. Then they showed me the gang saws. They had 40 of those gang saws. They would place the steel blades various distances. They could use as many as they wanted on a big block of marble, and often they would cut slabs about 1 inch thick. And so they would space the blades that far apart, and then the blades were set in a framework, a wooden framework, and it moved back and forth across the marble block, and at the same time they pumped water and sand into the grooves. And the sand is actually what did the cutting, because the blades had no teeth on them. Just steel blades started out about 6 inches wide, and they gradually wore down until some of them were only 1 inch wide. That was very interesting. A very slow operation, and it might take several days to cut through a large block.